on to the defense, Steve, starting in the middle or wherever you want to start.
Yeah, defensive line, to me, the ends, Zack Harrison's probably going to start at one as a senior with Tuimoloau and Sawyer kind of at the other one, and then backups with Jean-Baptist and Friday. I mean, you couldn't get Jim Knowles to commit that which one of those guys would start. They could all start. He could have all three of those guys in the lineup and pull out a tackle. Couldn't get him to commit on who was going to be up or down in the press box, even though he already knows who's going to be where. They aren't telling you anything about this team. I mean, they talk for 25 minutes, but they really don't tell you much of what's going on. And, at some point you have to put your cards on the table. The secrecy goes out the window at 7:44 p.m. on Saturday night. It's going to be there for the entire world to see what the rotations really are and what the scheme really looks like. But do those five seem like the top defensive ends to you, Tony, or what do you see?
No, yeah, it's those five, and I think that's the rotation. And however they employ them, they'll employ them. Jim Knowles has said that the guys working at the Jack defensive end spot would be Jack Sawyer, Javontae Jean-Baptist, and Paula Teoche, who is moonlighting from linebacker and whatnot. So I don't know that we'll see too much of him because they like what they have there. But those five guys, I think it's five defensive ends, and Steve, I think it's going to be five defensive tackles.
Yeah, I've got four of them down here, and you can add in whoever else you think. I've got Teron Vincent, number 6, starting. Jerron Cage at the other defensive tackle with Tyleik Williams kind of bracketed with him. And then Michael Hall backing up Vincent. Who's the fifth name that I'm leaving out?
Ty Hamilton, who started.
Oh, God. How could I forget Ty Hamilton? Yeah.
So, yeah, they've got three guys at nose tackle that they really like with Jerron Cage and Mike Hall and Ty Hamilton. Kevin Wilson famously a couple weeks ago said, watching this defense, he laughs that Mike Hall comes in as a third-team nose tackle, and then Larry Johnson a few days later said he's not a 3. He's with the 1s and the 2s now. And so they've got these guys that they just roll in, and at 3 tech, you got Tyleik Williams and Teron Vincent, two guys in opposite ends of their careers, basically. One guy with his last year, and Tyleik Williams finally getting to play as much as he would like and as much as everybody else would like. So let's see what kind of wind he has, because it was the fact that he couldn't play more than 2 snaps in a row last year that kept him off the field. But when he was on the field, he was as productive as anybody. You talk about his tackle for loss numbers and his sack numbers were just below the team leaders of Zack Harrison and Haskell Garrett, and they had hundreds of more snaps than he did last year.
Yep. Going to linebacker, only 2 linebackers in the starting lineup. Steel Chambers, outside linebacker. Tommy Eichenberg, middle. I've got Cody Simon backing up Eichenberg, and then I've got a bracket with Chip Trayanum and Taraji P. Mitchell there at outside linebacker. What do you see there?
Yeah, and even really to call it an outside linebacker, I think the way Jim Knowles does it, they're both inside. You got a Will being the quote-unquote outside guy. But, yeah, Mike and a Will, I'm with you there. I don't – people want to talk about where's C.J. Hicks. He's probably at that Will, but he's got guys behind him. Like you said, Taraji Mitchell, who could play at either of those spots, was also working at the Sam, which we may see some of against Notre Dame, as Jim Knowles wants a heavier lineup. But also maybe he's found that he doesn't need to have that heavier lineup with another linebacker because Court Williams can do it. So there's a whole bunch of intrigue on how Jim Knowles is going to employ all of these different packages that he's found. But, yeah, it's Steel Chambers and it's Tommy Eichenberg. And that was one of the questions coming in, like, would Cody Simon get his job back? Like, he started, 9 games last year? And Tommy Eichenberg started all of 4, I think. And this is Tommy Eichenberg's team. This is his defense now. He's taking it over in middle linebacker. Steel Chambers, Jim Knowles likes him because they go back and forth at each other. And if you've listened to any of the Steel Chambers interviews from this summer, he talks about how much Jim Knowles rips on him in a kind of a playful way. And so they go back and forth, and those are 2 guys that Jim Knowles can't speak highly enough about.
Yep. Cornerback, Denzel Burke, Cameron Brown, they started last year. They're starting again. I've got 4 guys. I got 2 at each side. I got Zaire Brown and J.K. Johnson as backups, and then Hancock and Martinez, who's also repped at corner a little bit. I think you could see as many as 6 different guys at the cornerback positions if the game wears on.
Yeah, and we don't know how healthy Jordan Hancock is yet. He was banged up a little bit in camp, so I'm interested to see, because he went into camp seemingly as the number 3 corner, and with his absence, you saw Jair Brown and J.K. Johnson really make a push to be that 3rd or 4th guy. So I think they found out more about those 2 guys. So not having Hancock out there for the full camp, I think made them feel a little bit better about what else they have. But I'm interested to see who that number 3 guy is right now. And you mentioned Cam Martinez, who's a guy who can do a bunch of different things. I'm interested to see who that first quarter off the bench is and when it happens, and how do they employ their dime defense? Is that where Cam Martinez comes in? He's the number 2 nickel. Is he the number 1 dime, or do they want their third best corner? So there's, again, a whole bunch of intrigue in terms of how all of these things are going to be employed that we just don't know yet.
Yep. Last thing on defense, the 3 safety positions, the adjuster, the bandit, and the nickel. Ronnie Hickman, the top tackler on the team last year, seems to be the adjuster, with Lathan Ransom backing him up. Josh Proctor, who only played a little bit first game, I think, before getting injured. Josh Proctor at the bandit with Court Williams behind him. And then the Oklahoma State transfer, Tanner McAllister at the nickel, with Kim Martinez backing him up. So Martinez could really line up at, any of the 5 positions in the secondary, as it turns out. Sounds like there's like the wide receiver position, you're never pigeoned into just one spot. You're cross-trained on all 3 of those safety spots. And they may, what I read up on what Knowles does is, it may be the same personnel grouping, but guys lined up in different positions to give the quarterback a bad read or disguise a coverage, and to say, I've got a favorable matchup here. Whoop, no, you don't. So, I don't know enough about it because I haven't seen it. I didn't do a deep dive and watch all 12 games of Oklahoma State last year to get a full idea. And there's a lot of sentiment that he wouldn't employ a lot of what they did at Oklahoma State because he's got different, better personnel potentially here at Ohio State, a higher grade of cloth, so to speak. So, let's get into the season, like I said, and get a read on this. Tony, I have gone so far in my mind that I want to put the message board yahoos to work. I want volunteers who will watch each position group carefully for me, so that while I'm writing down who the ball carrier is and what happened in the game and writing my story, that they can tell me what these exact personnel, tell me the wide receivers. How many snaps did Julian Fleming get? Was he lined up at split end? Was he lined up in the slot? I need help with this game. I need an army of observers to watch this first game and help me and tell me. I can't wait for our friend Donald Hope to come back with the snap count story late Sunday afternoon. I need to know when the game ends, what are these rotations and what does this look like? Because, it's who plays, Tony, that's more important than how they play. That's what we've been taught over the years.
Well, and it's not just how many snaps, it's where are those snaps. And I think that's going to be the fascinating part about the defense, because you've got 6 safeties that they want to play, but Jim Knowles also doesn't want to rotate guys. He wants guys to get a feel for the offense, and he wants them to be comfortable. So I think what happens is you have more substitution packages than rotations. Like they're not going to put Cam Martinez at nickel just to give Tanner McAllister a breather. They're going to do something specific with Cam Martinez, and they're going to do something specific with Court Williams, like I was talking about with maybe he is a Sam linebacker in this look, and that replaces the nickel. So what happens at the nickel throughout this game and throughout the season is going to be fascinating, because I think at some points against passing teams and passing downs, it's Cam Martinez. Against teams that can do both, maybe it is Lathan Ransom because he can do a lot. And against running teams like Michigan or Wisconsin, maybe it's Court Williams instead of just a full-fledged linebacker, because Court Williams is, he's 6'2", 6'1", 220 pounds. Like he's a big safety, and he looks at when you're standing next to him or sitting next to him. So the way they utilize these different guys. And Jim Knowles has said himself this fall, he's never had anybody like Court Williams who can play linebacker and can play safety. It's rare to have those kinds of guys. And Wysatt is recruited to that for the bullet position that was part of Jeff Hafley's defense that is now no longer gone, but apparently could be back by happenstance because of what Court Williams can do and what Jim Knowles has decided, hey, let's try this and see if it works. And, you know, he likes to throw stuff up against the wall methodically and see if things work. And if it does, then that gets added to the defense.